Good day, everyone, and welcome to this important unit in Fundamentals of Accounting course, BFA 1101. Unit number 12, Salaries and Wages. Some of us will be working as accountants, and you will be computing the salaries and wages of all the employees, including the very boss in the company. We'll also be computing wages for the workers. And it's important to distinguish these two key terms in this unit. The definition has been put up for you, and we are saying salaries refer to fixed amounts of money or compensation paid to an employee by an employer in return for work performed, meaning the amount is fixed and normally it's paid on intervals. So salary is commonly paid in fixed intervals, for example, monthly payments of 1/12 of the annual salary. So the salary can be fixed for the whole year, but it's staggered monthly, and that amount is fixed. Now, what are wages? This payment usually form of money for the labor or services, usually according to contract, which can either be on hourly basis, daily, weekly, monthly, or piecework basis. So we are simply saying someone can come just to install some aircon in some office, and that person will be paid, let's say, a wage. Another person can come and do some plumbing work, it's a wage. And at times, the company may subcontract the services of some people on hourly basis, on weekly basis, depending on the need. For example, someone who has a nightclub from Monday to Thursday, the demand is not very much. But on weekends, starting from Friday in Jakarta, you see a lot of people coming for clubbing, and that will need to employ more human resource to attend to all the customers. So some individuals may be needed just for those few days, and they'll be paid some wage agreed upon. So the difference between a salary and a wage is a salary is a fixed amount paid monthly, while a wage, it's not a fixed amount, but it's an amount agreed upon for the labor or service rendered for that particular time. It can either be hourly, daily, or weekly. So there is a difference, and we can go on trying to differentiate the two. And I give you, an appeal that you go and find more differences between these two. Now, in accounting, it's not more into defining, explaining, describing them, but it's more into doing, computing, calculating the salaries and wages. And that's my main interest. And allow me to take you to some examples on how we can compute salaries and wages of the employees. When computing salaries and wages, we normally go for the wage sheet. This is a sheet showing the hours worked and the hour rate and the daily computation or total hours worked times the hour rate to find the actual amount for that particular day. Then we can go on to compute on daily basis until we find the total wage for the week. So that's the worksheet. And allow me to take you right to the worksheet. So we've got this good example of the worksheet, and we've got the names here, Ezra, Lupupa, Lavemont, just examples. And there are 10 employees. And you've got Monday, and we see Ezra on Monday working 5 hours, Lupupa 7 hours, and the highest, Lavemont, Magaya, Royce, and Thomas working 8 hours each. And on Tuesday, we see they continue working according to maybe their capability and also the nature of work. On Wednesday, we see they continue, Thursday as well as Friday, the week ends. And now we need to compute how many hours did this person work for in week 1 of the month of October, for example. And we are going to add 5 plus 7, which is 13. And on Wednesday, this person did not report for work. So we continue on Thursday, this person worked for 8 hours plus 13, we've got 21, 20 somewhere there. Then we've got 7 on Friday. So 20 plus 7, we've got total of 27 for Ezra, 33 for Lupupa, Lavemont, 32, and Thomas, the last in series, having 28 hours. So the total number of hours worked for all the employees, for all the 10 employees, is 254 hours. Now, every company may set the hour rate. If you work for 1 hour, you are going to get 10 kwacha, 20 kwacha, and so forth, depending on the nature of work and also the capability of the company to pay. So in this example, let's try to take, we put 15 kwacha per hour as the rate. So we are going to multiply 27 hours for Ezra times 15 kwacha. How much did Ezra work for? And we'll continue using the same formula until we find the amount for Thomas. This is the worksheet. And if you are to compute, you're going to find that these are the figures, amounts the people worked for that particular week. And the total amount is coming to 3,810 amount to be paid to the employees for the hours worked for in week 1 of October. Now, every company may have rules and regulations. If you abscond yourself, let's say, for 2, 3, 4 hours, you're going to deduct. Should you break some items at the place of work, you're going to deduct. Should you find that maybe there are some 40 and, due to negligence, we are going to deduct so much. And all those are well tabulated in the conditions of service. So what are the deductions that are there for these employees which are here? So let's try to look at some example. For example, Ezra was deducted 20 kwacha and so forth. George, Rapson, 200 kwacha. Royce, 300 kwacha, 45 was deducted from Thomas. And now we are going to find the total amount for these employees. How much did they work for in that particular week after those deductions? So we are going to find that the figures are changing from 405 to 385 because 20 kwacha was deducted. And now we see this worksheet done and ready for the monies to be distributed at the end of the week. And members The employees who come put their NRCs there and sign against to get these monies. If they get money from the table, that is hard cash, or the monies will be transferred into their accounts, then they'll come and sign against their names that money has been collected. So this is the worksheet, and the accountants will be required to compute the worksheet, and it can come in the exam, in the test, to say compute the worksheet given the following hours worked for by the following employees. And you should not find, you should not struggle, because the rate will be given to you. Then you're going to compute, and if there are deductions, will be provided to you underneath to say not, and they'll put some notes there. Then Banda was deducted so much, Peter was off on that day and was deducted so much, and so forth. And it won't be a challenge for you to quickly come up with those figures, put them there, and find the net pay of these employees. This is the worksheet. Having looked at the worksheet, let's try to go further and see if they worked for 4 solid weeks. How is the picture like? So we can try to look at that, see how it may look like. Okay? So how can it look like if they worked for? So we are going to find that Ezra up to Thomas, the man names are there in week 1, they worked for that. In week 2, those are the amounts, and in week 4, those are the amounts, and the grand total at the end of the month, how much are they going to get? So we've got those figures computed, and we simply add that figure for week 1 to the figure for week 2, and also the figure for week 3 and 4, and find the total amount to be paid for in that particular month of October. So basically, this is what is normally done. So allow me to take you through to the payslip. How is the payslip done? It's important also to have some insights on how the payslip is computed. So we've got an example of the payslip here, and we pick the name of Ezra Msukwa, employee number 0097. Every employee has the employee number in that employment. He is number what? So that there is proper identification. And this person, let's say, is stationed at Manda Hill, and the position of this person is cashier, and he belongs to the Department of Accounts. For example, June 2020, how is the payslip going to look like? And we are going to start with the basic salary, and we get this amount from, we've got Ezra here, so who worked for 4 solid weeks and got 1,540. So how is the payslip going to look like? So income for that particular month is 1,440, and that's the balance because there is no deduction yet here. However, this Ezra is entitled for housing allowance, which is 20% of the basic pay. So we compute 20% of that amount, and we find 308. So if a question came, you'll be given these percentages. So you need to compute, because there will be some notes to say Ezra gets 20% housing allowance from the basic pay. So you're going to compute 20 over 100 times that amount to get the amount for housing allowance. Then Ezra is also entitled for transport allowance, which is 10% of the basic salary. So we compute what is 10% of the basic salary. And if you calculate the 10%, you're going to get 154 kwacha. The person is also entitled for housing allowance of 5% and risk allowance because where he works, it's a very risk environment, or the nature of the work is so risky, and is entitled for risk allowance 5% of the basic salary, which is 1,540, and the amount is that. So we see that the balances are increasing because more income is coming. This person is entitled for such. Now, we see that it does not end there. There are deductions. There are deductions this person is entitled or is supposed to be exposed to. We've got NAPSA. And before I talk about this, allow me to indicate to you that there are two types of deductions. We've got deductions we call statutory deductions, and the deductions we call voluntary deductions. Now, statutory deductions, these are deductions that are authorized by law, and there is no negotiation because it is constitutional that whether you like it or not, this amount should be deducted. These deductions examples include NAPSA. You're entitled to pension, and there is a mechanism designed to be collecting money from every employee in Zambia, be it in public or private. A certain amount is deducted and it goes towards pension. It's a statutory obligation for every employer to be releasing every month the amount deducted from the employees. NAPSA is one of the statutory deductions. The other one is pay as you earn, pay as you earn. As you are earning, you're supposed to pay. As you are trading and making profits on that gain, you're supposed to pay tax. So ZRA collects pay as you earn on behalf of the government to supplement government income so that the government can continue operating and rendering a service to the Zambians. This is the money normally used to construct roads, in short, social and economic activities that the government should put up. They need to collect money through tax, and pay as you earn is just one of the taxes that the government imposes on each and every citizen. So pay as you earn is collected from all the employees as they are earning every month, every income, they need to pay tax. It's a statutory obligation. Away from the statutory, we also have voluntary deductions. These are deductions where the employee realizes that I cannot afford to pay tuition fees for my children who are at universities. Let me borrow from some learning institution. And this learning institution says, "Sir, madam, as we cannot trust you. We cannot trust you to be bringing money every month to pay this loan. What we want is to be getting this money from your monthly wage or monthly salary. So we want to be deducting directly from the employer, from the payroll, they deduct." And you agree to that by signing. Then the learning institutions will submit the documents to the employer, and it goes up to the payment, and they start deducting from the salary directly. So it's voluntary. It's you deciding to say, can you start deducting from me? You can also decide to be remitting money to any person through from the payroll. Another example is if you belong to a union, you decide to belong to the union, and the union will tell you to say, "Sir, madam, if you want us to continue rendering a service to you, you need to be paying this much." So union payments are voluntary deductions. You can also get a loan from Zanaco and any other bank, or make an obligation, then that's voluntary, and the government or the employer will agree to be remitting money to those institutions because you've decided to be allowing that amount, those amounts to be deducted. So we see this Ezra here, Musukwa, has some voluntary deductions as well as statutory deductions. Statutory deductions, we've got NAPSA, and 150 is remitted, and the balance reduces to 2006. Pay as you earn, a statutory deduction 120, the balance reduces to 1,886. Then Bayport, voluntary deduction, got a loan for 5 years and remits 200 kwacha per month, and their balance is reduced to 1,686. Zanaco loan, 500 per month, and the balance is reduced further to 1,186. Union belongs to ZANUT, Zambia National Union of Teachers, and a certain percentage, which is 2%, is deducted, and the 30 kwacha 0.18 ngwe is deducted, and we have the balance net pay of 1,155.2 ngwe. So this is the amount to be credited in the account, or this is the amount to be collected on the table hard cash if this person does not get through the bank. So this is the payslip, and this is how it is done. And if a question comes to say the following are the figures, the following are the deductions, the following are the percentages or the allowances, okay, can you compute the salary of this employee? You should not struggle. Indicate who is this employee, name, what is the number, station, what is the position, and which department does this person belong to? Is he a teacher, nurse, and so forth? And which month period for that payslip? And have details column, have the income column, and have the column for deductions, and also the column for the balance, and put all the details that are needed there, and also the details for the deductions, indicate them, what are the deductions, and the balances there, and find the net pay. And you can do this within a short possible time and get the maximum marks that can be allocated to this question. So thank you so much, and let's continue practicing. Something we'll put up for you to continue practicing and continue studying and aiming higher in your studies, and God bless.